My gameplay philosophy has been pretty steady in terms of making friends and finding clues, but I think I've gotten better at doing both of those things throughout the game. I had a powerhouse alliance and went on quite a run of winning most of the last few missions. I stayed nimble with my suspects, knowing that we always get new information, and I'm proud of the game I've played.
I have become more patient and learned to not panic as much. Even though I did not win any missions, my scores kept improving.
I stayed low and social at the beginning and ramped it into high gear in the final parts of the game. I stayed social and strategic throughout, but finally made my move at the last point I could. I became a lot more patient with this game. I do not think I would do anything differently with my game. Everything I did got me to this point, so I do not regret any of it.
I learned I do not take kindly to snarkiness. Also, I took it personally when doing the brutal survey questions, although I shouldn't. It is a game and a character. But if it makes them believe I am a threat, great. I am playing a great game.
The killer did a great job in the first half of keeping us all fooled. We were so fixated on Anne, and seeing that 3/4 of our alliance made it to the finals, there was someone among us who was lying the whole time. The last killing definitely spells a lot out for people, I think, since I think most of us were on the same page of Marie being the top suspect, but then it was ultimately Mystique who went home.
Honestly, the killer did a good job. I am impressed.
I think the killer played well for the most part. I am still not 100% on who I think it is, so they have done a great job.
I stuck with my alliance, although I have spoken less the last few days to let Littlefoot keep on guessing. He believes it is between David and I as to who the killer is, and I know it is not me. That would be a kicker, wouldn't it?
Congratulations are in order. David, John, Littlefoot, Marie. The 4 of you are all that remain from the 12 that began nearly a month ago. You came for a resort vacation, but you ended up in a bloodbath in an old derelict manor. You have survived each other, the manor, Dr. Delvey's copay, and foremost, the killer. So far. After nearly a month, it comes down to these last 2 days. While multiple can survive, or possibly none, only one person can win the $250 grand prize. Whether it be one of the innocent or the killer remains to be seen. Your first remaining task is one of many goodbyes. Let us take a moment to look back and pay our respects or disrespects to those that fell prey to the killer along the journey.
You were not active. We never talked.
Can't say much about you, my dear, because I never saw you, nor did we ever hear from you. So good riddance.
Activity in this game wasn't your strong suit, and we weren't sorry to see you go.
We were all glad to see you go. You took up someone else's spot that could have contributed something to the game.
Wesley, we did not have a very long time to speak and get acquainted. I think we were just getting on nicely and then boom, you got whacked. Sorry for the terminology, but that is the way I saw it.
We did not have many chats, but you were always good at the challenges, and that would have been very hard to compete with down the line.
I don't think we talked much either, but it was fun to write a made-up version of your murder.
You seem nice.
My first suspect. Matilda, I'll never forget how you weaseled your way to that first clue.
Matilda, you were definitely an interesting character. The few chats we had were nice, and I think if you had stayed a little longer, we could have helped each other out in the game. But unfortunately, you did not make it far.
Matilda, sweet child, or not so sweet. We did not chat very much, but not for lack of me trying to get to know you better. Although I think your smart mouth may have gotten you in trouble here, young lady.
We also barely talked.
Walter, oh my dear man, I wish I had gotten to know you better as well. You always seemed a bit confused when we chatted, and as confused as I was with this game. You only seemed to add to my confusion. You were a nice man from what I gathered from the few conversations we did have.
We only had one chat, so I did not know you very well, but you always seemed nice and pleasant.
The last of the early round eliminations. You had a bit of snark, and I love to watch your banter.
You were cool.
Cruella, darling, we didn't really chat much about the game. It was all surface chat. You spoke about the people that work for you, and I complained about Frank and the boys and, of course, Deborah. So your death really didn't faze me at all, darling.
You were my first friend.
We also did not speak much, but when we did, you always stayed true to your character, and I admire that very much.
You survived so many markings, so I was shocked to see you leave. I really enjoyed your presence in the group.
Mall. I was very happy when you were killed. You were openly against me, and that was a threat to my game. When your lucky streak finally ran out and you were killed, I was thrilled. I always worried you would be the one to make my game go downhill.
Darth, I thoroughly enjoyed your dark humor. I feel we were just getting close and working together, and then the killer got to you. I was a bit suspicious about you, so it was a surprise when you got killed. I wish you had lasted a bit longer.
You were a good teammate.
My first frenemy in this game. Don't worry, Mama Marie and Littlefoot soon took your place. You were a great rival and an awesome competitor. It was great you lasted as long as you did.
My dear Anne, you were a big threat throughout this game. I even had big suspicions about you the first couple of rounds. I apologize for marking you that one time, but there was this alliance that I was in, and you just weren't part of it, and I tried to keep you safe, but others were a bit leery of you as well. I was truly sad to see you go.
The Puzzle Master. At the beginning of the game, you scared me more than anyone else. I loved our talks, especially towards the end. You were true to your character all the way through, and that was so fun to see.
You were my investigating buddy.
And you are possibly one of the smartest people I have ever spoken with. You always stuck in character, you were open and honest with me, and we always deciphered these clues together. For the first couple of rounds you were high on my list of suspects, but the more we spoke the more you proved, time and time again, that you were not the killer. So I was very sad to see you go. Although you were a very fierce competitor, and if it was not then, I am sure you would be in this finale spot instead of one of us. Mystique, I am sorry for how things ended. Your murder was interesting indeed. I figured that would happen. We had lots of good chats and I truly believed you were innocent. Unfortunately, I always put my game before friendships I make in a game, and you were an innocent party caught in the crossfire. It was great getting to know you, and I hope we can chat again after this is all over, and hopefully you'll forgive me.
We barely talked, but you did great. And I'm sorry to see you go like this. Rest in peace. You were great.
I'm still not okay from this one. Our crew had such a good run. 4 heads will always be better than 1, and you were our funny head. I enjoyed our strategy chats and just bouncing crazy ideas off each other. You're the best, Mystique. Can't wait to see who's behind all the faces.
Mystique, my friend, we had an amazing run with our alliance, and you made this game so much fun with your antics and the drinking. You certainly kept the party going. I will miss you, my girl, and hope to see you on the other side. Well, the other side being the end of the game when all is out in the open. Not the other side here, like in the dark side. You know what I mean. It's been a pleasure working with you this game, and can't wait to chat when all is done. Get those shots ready, girlfriend.
My first thought during the memorial service was that, wow, Darth Maul's death felt like a turning point in this game, where the stakes went up to a new level and we knew no one was safe anymore. And just through the reflection, I realized once again just how dominant our alliance, 4 heads are better than 1, really was. An alliance of my making. We cruised all the way to the semifinals without any danger at all.
I really never got close with any of the victims due to our alliance. I was true to that alliance through and through. Anne was a great help but too pushy, so made me suspicious at first.
I was proud on looking back at the journey, and also very glad with the people I made it to the end with. It was bittersweet because I am so happy to have it made it to the finale, but I am also sad it's all going to be over.
It was sad, but it was fun. Fair game for everyone except Janet. That was deserved.
I want a turn now. First victim, Janet, a simple death for a simple woman. Second victim, Wesley. I never like someone who does not try. Third victim, Matilda Wormwood. They thought it was you, but they were wrong. Fourth victim, Walter Bishop. Hope this made things interesting enough. Fifth victim, Cruella DeVille. You guessed right once and sealed your fate in doing so. Sixth victim, Darth Maul. Time to toss my plaything aside. Seventh victim, Anne Flatch. Sizzle, sizzle, then fizzle. Too bad. Eighth victim, Mystique. Your friends could not save you anymore. David, John, Littlefoot, Marie. You all played well. Let us see who takes home the prize. Back to you, Victor. XOXO.
Do you really still need to hide behind the mask? We know it's you.
Exactly. Time to come out.
Good morning, finalists. The final suspects on the final day. At the end of the night tonight, the game will be over. More of you may be dead. The killer will be unmasked. and one of you will walk away with $250. To survive and be in the running to win that prize, you must do one simple thing. Name the killer's true identity. You will have one final chance to earn a clue in your final mission tonight. Take some time to reflect back. We will meet for your final supper. Then the finale's festivities will begin. See you in a few hours.
You had an interesting comment at the memorial. You said you figured that would happen with Mystique's recent murder. Were you not surprised it wasn't David?
The only two viable suspects left are you and David. I knew there was no way either of you would have killed the other. It would have put the eyes on whoever was left. I was kind of hoping if it was you, though, that you would take David out. It would have made my final decision a lot easier.
Okay, and how do you figure it can't be John? Good old quiet John, who survived how many markings? I'm thinking the brain is not working very well here this morning.
I guess there is a chance it could be John, but from how I have observed how he has played and that no clue has pointed towards him, I would say I am 99% sure he is innocent. Both David and Marie know that they are the main suspects, so neither of them would have taken out the other because everyone would know it was them.
Was sad that Mystique died just before the finals, but not surprised.
I wasn't surprised she got killed. She said she had no clue who the killer was. Sad to see her go. She was a riot.
I was more shocked to see that I survived than Mystique killed. We all knew this was around for a male character to die, and Littlefoot purposely put me in that position to test that. My best thought is that I guessed the killer right as Mama Marie and maybe Mystique didn't for some reason, or someone is trying to pin me as the killer at the 11th hour. Either way, I'm excited to be here in the finals now.
My favorite part of the game was trying to figure out who the killer was. From watching how people spoke and interacted, to trying to decipher the clues and make sense of it all, I loved the game and would not say I had a least favorite part.
My favorite aspect was the detail put into every mission and round. It was awesome. My least favorite was real life getting in the way, so I couldn't fully focus on missions towards the end.
Theme Me was my favorite mission. And there was no worst. I actually did quite well this time on the missions. The rotating puzzle pieces killed me until I got the hang of it.
I loved the missions, especially the ones that I won, and I loved having an alliance that I could talk to all day, every day. We were never in danger, so it felt a bit like summer camp, but with more word searches and sex jokes. Least favorite part has to be the last 3 to 4 days since Littlefoot won the final safe house. I had the betrayal to ruin my perfect no-mark run. I definitely felt defeated and like a failure, which is not at all how I should feel after how kick-ass I played most of the game.
Your final night at my manor, Blood Manor. Consider this your final supper. Feel free to reflect on your experiences in the game and with each other. Feel free to share your final goodbyes too. This is the last time you will be able to talk to each other before your final fates are sealed. You will not speak to each other again. Thank you all for an amazing game. I have truly enjoyed hosting this dynamic cast and am honored you represent the final four. Anything is on the menu. I ordered cyanide myself. To you.
I had a lot of fun with this experience, had some ups and downs, but nothing but love to the cast, minus Janet, especially the final four. Everyone played a great game, and I can't wait to see who's behind all of the personas. Mama Marie, you're such a firecracker, but I didn't expect you to also be a challenge beast. Overall, I feel great about how I played. Between my alliance and my challenge wins, I was never really in any danger until the very end. Now I just need to hope I get it right so I can take home the prize. I think Marie probably played the next strongest game. I think a lot of her persona in the game was an act, and Shez quite the smart player. She was good at challenges and knew when she should and shouldn't share info.
Hate to eat and run, but I don't have much time to chat during dinner. Whatever, cheers. I made an alliance and stuck with them and played as honestly as I could. Once they came for me, the gloves were off and it broke down the trust. I stuck with trusting one person, and that was Mystique. The others? Well, I guess they played their own way. I don't know. John is a mystery how he survived. I guess the killer knew he wasn't a threat. Regardless, I have no will to speak to any of them anymore.
Littlefoot, you're much savvier than people give you credit for and turned on the heat at the right point. John, you're absolutely a resilient player and made it here against the odds and against a powerhouse alliance that ran most of this game. Dr. Anna, your presence and humor were appreciated and a great way to keep the mood light when things got tough. Victor, thank you, thank you, thank you. You were a wonderful host, and I'm glad I accepted the invite to come to the manor. Littlefoot was a great ally to me and a savvy player too. I think he was a bit more under the radar. He claims that was because he was working with too many people and didn't want to expose himself, but I felt the same way and was able to win a bunch of challenges and stay relatively blood-free until the end. I think his smartest move in the game was who he marked in the final round, and I think that gave him some good info for this last guess. Plus, he is the only player to have never been marked. John, in my opinion, floated his way to the end. He wasn't in the important strategy conversations and didn't win challenges. But hey, making it to the end is an accomplishment. I think the killer took pity on him and spared him a bunch of times, because I don't think he was guessing right from the start.
This game sure has been a ride, guys. I have loved every moment of it. John, I had a lot of fun talking with you throughout the game. You stayed resilient, loyal, and honest, and you are an amazing player. Now to David and Marie, wherever she is. Even though one of you has lied to me for the entirety of the game, I would not change a thing. We made our alliance after the very first mission, and it was one of the best I have ever been a part of. We were always honest with each other, helped wherever we could, and had lots of fun strategy talks. We truly dominated most of this game. Marie, it was such a pleasure getting to know you. I admire how you stayed in character so much, but your honesty and integrity are what I truly admire. David, I am sorry for how things turned out for us. I truly loved working with you, and you are an amazing person with an amazing mind. You never failed to make me laugh, and you were the closest friend I had in this game, and I hope we can talk after this is all over. This experience truly has been amazing, and I have to give all the thanks in the world to Victor. You have put together such an amazing game with such a unique cast, and I have had so much fun playing. I am proud of how I played the game. I was the only person that was never marked for death, and I think that speaks volumes on my social game. I love all three of my fellow players. They made this fun and exciting for me, and I cannot wait to see how it all ends.
I wanted to say thank you for all the fun we have shared together, and I can't wait to meet you all. It truly has been such a great time. I think I did fair for my first time, but definitely could have done better in missions. Next time, though.
You were all amazing at this. This wasn't the final four I can say I had in mind at the beginning of the game, but everyone has so deserved their spot here, and I am so proud of you, Marie. You are so funny, but also so scrappy. You're a bad bitch who isn't afraid to stand up for herself. I will miss wine and whining with you. If you win, it'll be because of your fierce attitude. David, we stand a witty king. You seem very perceptive from what I've noticed, and you always did a great job keeping a level head. If you win, it'll no doubt be due to your patience. John, king of resilience, icon legend, you are the moment. You never give up, and I am proud of you for fighting your way to the finals. If you win, it will be because of your resilience and good attitude. Littlefoot, thanks for making us laugh the whole game. However, you were not just good for laughs, and you seem to have put a lot of thought into every seemingly little move. If you win, it will be your intelligence that gets it. No matter who wins, it will be well deserved. And with that prize money, you can fly us all out to Marrakesh. I heard the resorts there are to die for.
Oh, also I threw quite a lot of the safe house missions, guys. I was good with too many people, so my game would have blown up if I had won and had to put up 3 people. Peace out, guys. I have love for all of you.
As for Littlefoot throwing challenges, not so sure I believe that. But hey, maybe he did, who knows?
The time for chivalry is over, nor was it ever here. 16 missions, 8 murders. Now it is time for your final mission and final mission overall. As hinted prior, this mission is called Reflections of. All you need to do is survive this game and get out. You will begin making your escape from the manor by choosing a series of doors in your attempt. Each set comes with a question. Choose the door that corresponds with the correct answer. A for yellow, B for red, C for blue. There are 16 rooms, 1 multiple choice question each. Simply get farther than everyone else. The reason I said to reflect back, I will only say this. How well you paid attention to the manor and how well you got to know your fellow players will be a major factor. So I hope you studied up on what you know. As I also suggested last round, David may have a small advantage at a question or two for winning the tour. You are on your own, no helping each other. The winner will receive the final clue. The contents of this box, which includes a powerful heirloom connected to the manor. Only you will be privy to the contents within. Regardless of winning or not, by finishing or getting to a dead end, you will have one final task. Choose your top suspect. This time, who you choose will decide if you leave with nothing or with everything. Alive or dead, come meet me in the ballroom when you are ready.
Good luck, everyone. If I somehow win, I will be shocked. There's probably a negative chance I win. I am fully prepared to lose and have come to terms with it.
Good luck all. I would be happy if I win. If I were to lose, I would understand and still be happy because of how everything played out.
Good luck, guys. I will be so glad to win. But if I lose, then I will still be glad with how well I did. I am at the end with some fierce competitors, and I think any one of us have a chance at winning.
Let us just say I have to think that I will lose. Honestly, the money was never in my mind, and I do not play for the money. It is a nice incentive, and I am sure others are all excited about it.
I stand before you with the first of your questions in your final mission. When you meet your end in the mission, you will have one last task. Name your final top suspect. The name you give will determine your outcome. Survive or die, win or lose. There are multiple ways for this to play out. If you are the only person to correctly guess the killer's identity, the others die and you will unmask the killer, walking away the winner and with the $250. If more than one of you correctly guesses the killer's identity, they will each survive the game and escape. But the person that named the killer the most amount of times throughout the season will take the title and money. If nobody guesses correctly, then nobody survives, and the killer claims the money for themselves. This is it. Best of luck, my hairy armpit, chicken wings, sawdust, pineapple skewers of Pixie, Dixie, Mega Puff, Puff, Toy Bench, Waffle Makers. Room 1. Who said the following in their final words? Welp, that was fun. I called it a mile away. I knew if I was marked, this was it. I don't want to wait to find out who the killer is. The middle door was Darth Maul. You are all correct. Step through. Room 2. What was the name of the family that most recently moved into the manor? A for Blood, B for Darkson, C for Gaverstone. The correction is Gaverstone. You are all correct.
Oh, Jesus! Go!
Who said the following in their final words? I am obviously sorely disappointed, but I guess I can only be disappointed in myself, in somewhat of a delirium. You are all correct. The answer was Wesley. Room 3. Who said absolutely fuck all in their interrogation room? A for Janet, B for Janet, C for Janet. Congratulations, everyone got it right. It was Janet.
Oh, shit!
Room 4 explicitly said after your first night here, where were the bodies of Emily's family found? Yellow for the attic, red for the basement, C for the kitchen. The correct answer was the basement. Again, everyone is correct.
Oh, God! It's fucking burning! Guys, come on!
Room 5, who said the following in their final words? Shots, 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 shots. Everybody? Yes, Mystique was correct. You all guessed correctly.
Oh, shit!
Room 6. What direction does the tower face from Blood Manor? The middle door for east is correct. Everyone except John had it right. John, your journey ends here. John, who is your top suspect?
Marie Barone had a clue talking about having a brother. There was a guy named Bruno that is mentioned, who is also the name of the stand-up guy in Everyone Loves Raymond. There were M letters. There was wine glasses, which she likes to drink. She was the only one who guessed differently in the survey on who the killer is. David, there wasn't many things that pointed to him that I can personally spot out, but he also likes to drink, so maybe the wine was a clue. Littlefoot, he is sus because he is a dinosaur. That's crazy enough to suspect. I will guess my top suspect is...
John's fate is sealed. Room 7, who said the following in their final words? Welp, fuck that. Damn. I really thought I had it dialed in too. I am about to haunt all these fuckers and give them nightmares. Matilda was the correct answer. You all progress. Room 8.
We're trapped! Fucking trapped!
Whose final words were, "This was a great time. I was absolutely happy to be a part of this. So sad. You are all such good competitors. Good luck, everyone." Cruella was correct. Marie and David move on. Sorry, Littlefoot. It is time to choose your top suspect.
The last clue mission was hard and intense. I did not have high hopes for this one. Even though John has survived being marked multiple times, nothing about his actions has been suspicious and none of the clues I have seen pointed to him. David is a very smart and calculated player. He has all the right attributes to be a killer, and I did see clues that pointed me at him. Marie is an incredibly smart player. She is well-liked, very well-spoken, and has a great social game. So many different clues have pointed towards Marie, and certain things she has done have been very suspicious, and she gave up that final safe house mission way too fast. My top suspect will be...
Room number 9. How old is the manor? Yellow for decades, red for centuries, blue for millennia. Centuries is correct. You both continue to proceed.
Over here! Go! Slow down!
10th room, 10th question. Whose final words were these? We are all victims of our own gene pool. I think someone peed in yours. Yellow for Darth Maul, red for Matilda, blue for Walter. Marie chooses Darth Maul. David chooses Walter. The correct door is Walter. Marie, I need you to give me your top suspect.
Considering more than half of the questions pertained to the mansion, and I saw none of that, it was all guesses. Okay. Lowest suspect is John. I just saw not one damn clue for his character or anything surrounding him. Then David, the highlighted initials, the actor who portrays David Rose, DL also Littlefoot. There were some things that steered me in that direction. I even had him as a suspect in earlier rounds. So with all that said, my final answer for my top suspect as the killer is...
Come on! Go!
David, you have won the heirloom. I will give you a moment to ponder what's inside before making you choose your suspect.
On the players' goodbye messages, I felt more confident in some than others. On the manor questions, I thankfully had the tour clue that answered most of them for me. I would have been completely in the dark without that. I am impressed that Marie came so close to beating me, but then again, she has been a strong force this whole time. I do not really know what to make of the heirloom, but the clue scroll has a bunch of scribbled letters. The only way John is the killer is if that is the explanation for him surviving so many markings. But there are not any clues to point to him, and I don't think he is a strategic enough player to pull this off. The suspicious things Littlefoot did was take the safety pass and then betray me. Both of which are not really suspect, they are more just shady or savvy as a player. Again, no real clues for him, and I think his arrogance in these last few days threw people off his trail. Mama Marie. The sweet old lady act fooled us all for a bit, but she started winning missions, so we knew there was more than meets the eye. The frying pan and cooking related clues in the manor, as well as your cranky fits to Victor and your alliance at the end. You were with us, but it always felt like you were keeping us at a distance. Whoever it is, it's time for you to face justice. My top suspect is...
Hello? Is this thing on? 1, 2. Sorry, but my goal was to make this as painful as possible for you. I had to learn the strategy and the metagame as I went. I think I went in with a good mindset of trying to pin suspects against each other, and then bring those two to the end. I thought I would first pop into the welcome dinner on the first night to stir up some intrigue, and I think I was successful. But then I also reached out to each of the suspects to ask who they thought I could be. Honestly, I did not expect much to come of it. It was more a fun activity to keep me entertained. But I did get some guests to bite and throw out some names. Walter suspecting Marie, Mystique thinking Matilda or Janet. It was good information for me to keep on hand. As the game went on, it was becoming increasingly difficult to pop in on my killer account persona and make sure that people did not see me online. But also, the first few killings were relatively straightforward. Otherwise, if the guests didn't step it up a bit, I knew this could be the easiest win ever. Both of my first 2 killings tied back to the same strategy. Use a logic or rationale that is completely neutral to any character. I didn't want the players reading into the killings and being able to identify me through a possible motive. Janet was clearly inactive, so she had to go for the good of the game. Wesley did not complete Anne's minigame, nor did he send in a top suspect or plea, so it made sense to target him.
Who the hell are you?
What if, for example, I killed someone who picked Anne as their top suspect, and other players knew that Anne was the deceased's top suspect? Well, then that would rule Anne out as killer, and I couldn't have anyone getting ruled out just yet. I wanted the players to scramble and squirm, to watch 35 seconds of security camera footage on loop for hours, and come up with a million different theories about how it can tie back to 10 different suspects.
But it was me. Eventually I needed to get more strategic with the killings, but that was a great approach at that point. My character continued to do everything possible to look innocent, actively participating in both clue and safe house missions even though they are not needed to win, building alliances and relationships with the other guests to gain their trust, throwing around theories and suspects to keep the others thinking. On the topic of suspects, there were a few who were top of mind for my character to spin stories about. First was Matilda, the first clue mission winner who did not share a lot of information for the greater good or to get help in cracking the code. She also assigned people randomly to different puzzles in the second clue mission, a strategy that outwardly appeared helpful but really could have caused much confusion and a potential loss. Second was the increasingly popular suspect, Anne, queen of the safe house, who liked to play little mind games when choosing those she marked for death. She was trying to avoid getting blood on her hands and was just generally very over the top in her interactions with others, both publicly and privately. And finally, sweet old Marie, the beloved housewife turned possible serial killer. I had begun a narrative that she was a little too active in public, and while she performed well in safe house missions, she did not seem to contribute much to the clue missions. That would be a classic challenge strategy for the killer. Safe house missions are a way to prove that you are active and here to play, although not necessary to win. Clue missions, on the other hand, the killer would want to sabotage to keep their opponents in the dark. Ultimately, as we progressed through the game, I needed to end up in the finals with people who suspect each other. I kept throwing out breadcrumbs of possible clues and suspects and keep track of who bites. Like I said, the killings got more strategic, and if I think my character could control your suspect list, then you would be gone. And I unfortunately needed to throw a few deaths in there that my character would be upset to see. I do have to say that I quite enjoyed this dual personality. My public persona of a character who is here to compete and build relationships versus my hidden life of intrigue and murder. Who knows, by the end of this, maybe I could even have myself convinced that I'm not the killer. After another 2 killings, the game was starting to heat up. It was only a matter of time before someone started to suspect me, even if it was just a lucky guess.
You. This is all because of you.
But that just meant that I needed to try harder to conceal my identity. There was no option besides winning. I stayed loyal to my alliance, and then my sub-alliance for as long as I could. I kept the people in the game who I enjoyed playing with, and who I thought deserved to make it. Outside of my alliance, my next closest allies were John, then Anne, and the boot order reflected that. Starting off with the crime scene investigation clue mission, it was important to me that my team did not name a target from the opposing team. I did not want to tip my hand to potential suspects, so we chose a suspect and crime scene story that was totally outlandish. And even though I contributed a lot to my team's final submission, I did not expect us to win. That was all part of the plan. I get the credit for being a team player who contributes to the clue mission, but my team does not get the actual clue. Win-win. And using the social capital I have built up among the other suspects, I was able to get 2 more wins out of that mission. First, both Littlefoot and John shared the clue with me anyway. But also, Littlefoot told me that the other team picked Matilda as the suspect because they all felt she was the least likely to be the killer. Uh-oh, Matilda, if you are not a suspect, then you are of no use to me. My approach to the word search safe house mission was similar. I worked with my allies, put up a good score, and avoided the actual win. Thankfully, it was my ally Marie who won, someone who would never mark my character and who I could control to mark whomever I want. In all honesty, I did not care who she picked as long as my actual target was vulnerable. I think it was still too early to take out Anne, considering she was a popular killer pick for a lot of my fellow competitors, and I wanted to avoid drawing suspicion by eliminating her. So when Marie marked Matilda, the person who half the cast thought was the least likely to be the killer, I had to take that shot. I eliminated Matilda at a time when I, as a player, were on her track, and when I heard that the other team in the mission thought she was the least likely to be the killer. That allowed David the player to do a reset, and followed my general philosophy of killing off the least suspicious people. That would have been a better pattern to keep up than the male and female thing. But hey, I got bored and needed something to keep it interesting. I have to say that I was a bit surprised at how big of a reaction it caused among the other suspects. Maybe it is just finally sinking in for them that this was all real, that any of them can die at any time, that their days are numbered. If they think this is a big killing, just wait until they saw what I had in store for the next few rounds. Another clue mission in lie detector, another successful failure. It is hard enough to interpret these clues and point to a suspect, but imagine how much these fools would flounder without them at all. The paranoia would continue to creep in, they would all turn on each other and I would skate by. But when it came to the safe house mission, I unfortunately broke my losing streak. It was just my competitive nature finally getting the best of me. I was in the top for so long that I had to win one eventually. But now this presented my first real dilemma of the game. For the first time, I had all the power. I could mark who I want and eliminate who I want.
My top suspect is Marie.
Do I take a shot at someone like Marie or Anne? Or do I continue to play it safe with the more quiet players? For my character, the marking choice was pretty obvious. It had to be Darth Maul, Cruella, and Walter. I did not have much of a game relationship with them, and any other choice would have been too suspicious. When it came to the killing, though, I had some more factors to consider. Darth Maul was like a cat with 9 lives. He was thrown into potential elimination every time, and every time he came back. The consensus around the cast was that Maul was either the killer or had struck a deal with them. Either way, it kept suspicion on Maul and off of me. I did not want to break that just yet, so luckily for you, Maul, you made it another round. And then, between Cruella and Walter, the choice was ultimately made for me.
I choose David as my top suspect.
Cruella got a lucky guess and picked me as her top suspect, and that left Walter as the odd man out. The good doctor was not very good at this game, and it was his time to go. As far as my strategy going forward was concerned, I did not think that Cruella picking me changed things much. In fact, if I changed my behavior drastically for either my character or killer persona, that could tip Cruella off that she was on the right track. But no matter who was left at the end, I still knew that I would win this game. Then the final 8. I wasn't sure when this game would come to a close, but we were at the part of the roller coaster where you know the end is in sight. In the trapdoor's clue mission, these people continued to sabotage themselves. If there was just the tiniest bit of cooperation and trust, at least one of them could have made it to the clue. And then there's Marie. Sweet, sweet Marie, bless her heart. She was always just a few steps behind the rest of us in reading the rules and understanding how these missions work. If she had used my information of the first 6 successful steps, I bet they could have figured it out even with minimal cooperation from the rest. But alas, another failure for the group. The Territory Safehouse mission was not one that I wanted to win. I was actually fortunate to have Maul on my tail and trying to block me off because it gave me an excellent way to play for a long time without needing to get blood on my hands from another marking. The only blood I like on my hands is from my victims after the killing. And I think Marie felt the same way, judging by her reaction to winning. But my eyes were fixed on one target from the start. Cruella wrote her way out of the game when she correctly picked me last time. All I needed to do was hope that she doubted herself enough to change it up this time, and then she was a goner, and she did slip up. John would get to survive another marking and raise in the level of suspicion among his fellow manor guests. Anne would survive her first, throwing some suspicion on her for making it through, despite being a big threat. And Cruella, the only person who had come close to figuring this out so far, would be the next victim of my killing game. I got spooked when Cruella first guessed me, and then I thought I had gotten back on track once I had eliminated her. I couldn't make it obvious that she was killed for being on the right track, so I threw in my note a clue of my own, something to stir the paranoia and send them down a different rabbit hole. I mentioned a pattern in the killings so far. And Anne the sharpshooter was of course the first to pick up on the woman-man pattern of the victims. Now to be honest, this had all been coincidental so far, but since I was this far along, I stayed committed to the bit all the way through. The theme of this game continues to be making my own fun, while they floundered around dead ends and red herrings. Lock and Key is another clue mission that required cooperation and social currency. In other words, another one that was doomed from the start. My strategy in these types of missions was to stay quiet, not overly sabotage, and avoid unnecessary attention. Marie loudly proclaimed that she wanted a clue. Mystique and John raised their hands for the keys and stealth card respectively. Darth Maul was mysteriously absent for half of the mission's time. And best of all, Littlefoot pulled out the ultimate betrayal by jumping ahead of the picking order and taking the stealth card for himself. I played the part of the innocent team player who didn't want to add to the confusion by trying to get picked, and would graciously accept a clue if someone shared. I think part of what has made this game so easy for me is that I'm also part of the dominant alliance that has been running things from the start. I was able to stay under the radar while also getting access to the clue, the knowledge of the keys, and an ally having the stealth card. And my advantages were only going to continue as the next safe house mission was my very own creation. The Killer's game chain reaction is a classic challenge that played to my strengths of past game experience, but put us all on equal ground. One that tests your willingness to put a ton of hours into a meaningless list as well as your attention to detail. And thankfully, I have a lot of both. My original target list was 100, then 150. Then I was having so much fun that I pushed it all the way to 200. I stopped myself and submitted to avoid looking like I was so dominant because I knew this challenge was coming for weeks. I definitely could have kept going, since I submitted over 24 hours ahead of the deadline. I dominated because I knew good strategies, not because I got a head start. This was a nice one to win because it meant all those hours spent weren't for nothing. But I was a bit surprised at just how much of a runaway this was. All of the good I've done could hopefully outweigh this one very obvious suspicious activity, but I wouldn't be surprised if I started to get some votes thrown my way as the top suspect soon after. There were only so many people left.
Why don't you stop your whining and get on with it? I've heard this shit before!
Stop! You don't want to hear that! Fucking damn it!
Why don't you take some fucking responsibility?
Fuck you!
Fuck you!
The plan was to make sure that I kept alive the people who, 1, don't suspect me, and 2, suspect someone else who is alive. Oh, and 3, I needed to follow my woman-man killing pattern because an extra challenge is always fun. The next killing really came down to John versus Darth Maul. Anne was going to be safe because she's a woman in a turn for a man to be sent out, and because she was a top suspect for a lot of people still. Also, I already had my killer's message written out in my head. A cat has 9 lives, but blank only had 4, so it was just a question of which name would fill that blank. As far as the implications to my player go, I could see it either way. Maul had been my adversary for quite some time, and he would definitely target me if he ever won Safe House. I'm still not quite sure why I feared being marked, but it would be another cool achievement to make it to the end without being marked at all. I didn't think Maul going home would paint a big target on my back since he was enemies with most of the remaining cast at that point. And then for John, he'd been a close ally of mine from the beginning, but that doesn't mean much now that I'd marked him. And I didn't think anyone else in the game knew how close we were. So either saving or killing him shouldn't have a big impact on my suspicion level. Ultimately, I decided to kill Maul. John wasn't a big threat to win Safe House, and even if he did, I thought there was a chance I could convince him to keep me safe. Maul was a popular choice of top suspect for a long time, but then that sentiment had evolved to more of people just being fed up with his gameplay style. It was more annoying than suspicious. And that's not the kind of energy that I wanted to keep in this manner. As we moved into the final stages of the game, and the roller coaster approached the station, I was ready for my alliance to turn on each other. I was ready for Anne and John to keep drawing suspicion by surviving killings. And I was ready to knock off the rest of these people as I marched my way to victory. It was sad, but we all knew the time would come. Let's review who we had left to kill. The rest of 4 heads are better than 1, Mama Marie, the likely suspect, Mystique, the aloof comic relief, and Littlefoot, the quiet but scheming floater. Then there was John, who had survived the murders without winning challenges or making waves. And finally Anne, the puzzle master who was once a popular killer pick, but seemed to have proven her innocence by then. I was still afraid that my performance in the killer's game Safe House exposed me as a likely suspect, when I was previously, hopefully, mostly under people's radars. On Maul's way out, he set pairs for the next clue mission, and left me with Anne. Truthfully, I did not need or want to win. With my alliance spread across all of the pairs, this would have been a good opportunity to blend back into the background. Darth Maul's crime scene didn't leave much else for people to latch onto me for clues, but it also didn't give me much to pin on others. Survey brutality was a mission that would unfortunately expose me further. I had to show my hand by getting so many questions right. And while I got much more positive answers than negative, and definitely wasn't being picked as the killer, I think I left it in a worse position than I started.
Where is he?
My top suspect is Marie.
With this power, I had a big decision in front of me. Logically, I should want to eliminate someone who is not a top suspect, Mystique, Littlefoot, or John. But Littlefoot and Mystique were my closest allies.
Hey. Lose something?
Found something.
And John was a man in a round where a woman was supposed to go home. Curse my stupid pattern that was totally unnecessary. I considered a marking group of Anne, Marie, and Mystique so that I could eliminate Mystique. But how? Littlefoot also pointed out that marking Mystique would put her at the greatest risk for going home since she's innocent and a female character. Ugh. Yes, Littlefoot. That was the point. But now that he'd put it out in the open, I could no longer move forward with that plan. I even considered saving Anne, and once again got her hopes up high, but the most logical move for my character was to mark Marie, Anne, and John, even if that wasn't the best move for me, the killer. When Marie guessed me correctly, my heart sank. I wasn't planning to kill her, and again I had a feeling people were starting to catch on, but you never like to see your name like that thus close to the end. I had my choice between eliminating Anne and John, and while getting rid of John could have been the easier move, I decided to see my pattern through my killing Anne. While she dropped on people's radars, she still might have been a top suspect for some, so perhaps I unfortunately focused more eyes on me. In winning the alias clue mission, I had to be careful with how much I shared with Marie, who I promised I would share the clue with. Instead, I stuck with just sharing the manor clue images with them. And even then, I left out one key clue. A rose. which would be an obvious nod to me and my last name. Even though I did not need to win the safe house missions and I did not need to fear being eliminated, my frustrations with Littlefoot were completely genuine. That was a difficult betrayal, even for a killer to have to bear. I had faith that he would keep me safe, or at least send me into the elimination with John. The biggest tell would be how the last killing took place. Littlefoot set the perfect trap, but by putting me alongside Marie and Mystique, he purposefully and correctly forced my hand. He knew that David and Mystique would both pick Marie as their top suspect. So no matter what, David should be the one to be killed in this male round. Unless of course he's the killer himself. I considered blowing the whole thing up by eliminating Marie, who I knew was the person I could most easily pin blame on, but when she correctly identified me yet again, I only had the choice to kill Mystique. 2 good moves in a row by Littlefoot, I didn't think he had that in him. 2 correct picks in a row by Marie, that old woman still has her wits about her. In hindsight, I should have broken the pattern the previous round and killed John. If I had booted John instead of Anne, I could have sent the game into one final tailspin before the end. But I like John and my arrogance got in the way. Or maybe not even done a pattern at all. Why did I make this even harder for myself than it had to be? With Mystique's murder announced, Littlefoot proclaimed that he was expecting this, clearly pointing to me as his top suspect now. And with Marie and John liking his post, they know the same too. At this point, my hands are tied. I had no escape. I had failed to live up to the expectations. I had a good run, but there was no way to convince all 3 of them that I am not the killer.
David is the killer.
Dear fans, my dear Victor, I hope I did not let you down. I hope I gave you a good run of entertainment and kept you all in suspense for most of this game. Truthfully, this killer nature is not even my personality at all. It is something about this manner that must have driven me mad. I was at a constant battle between my 2 selves. I have felt torn in 2 directions for much of this game. The competitive nature that drives me tried to win as many missions as possible. Missions that I did not need to win. Missions that put me in compromising positions. Like the one that I created and the one that put me in an impossible dilemma for marking. In my arrogance and boredom, I created a pattern of killing off men and women alternatively. I didn't even create it. It happened by chance, and then I decided to go with it. And the dedication to that pattern was my final undoing to the remaining guests. Also, I feel like my alliance was too dominant. If we had lost any safe house missions, I would have loved to get rid of Littlefoot or Mystique earlier on so that I could really focus my efforts on Marie, both in terms of painting her as a suspect and aligning closely with her to sway her thought process. But I rolled with the punches and did the best I could with the hand I was dealt. A hand that was through no fault of my own, and the one that was completely my fault. Maybe my focus on Marie was a big tell, because if I was really a player, I wouldn't want others to have the same right answer as me, even if they're in my alliance. To whoever wins this game, congratulations. You all have done a good job of surviving just long enough, interpreting the clues good enough, being patient enough for me to slip up. I had a great run of going undetected until Cruella first picked me, and that was the beginning of the end. I pivoted and threw suspicion in other ways, but I came up short. I only hope that whatever judgment I face at the end of this will be swift and painless. But it is deserved. I have killed many in this manner, many innocent people who left their own lives and universes at Victor's request. I knew there was no way I was going to be able to sway Marie. I didn't even have another target to point her towards. So overall, not a bad job for a first time as a killer, but I am disappointed that I won't be able to pull out this win after putting in so much effort. Littlefoot and Marie definitely both deserve the win, especially with the moves they made at the end. They painted me in a corner and exposed me at just the right time. I only hope all of you forgive me for what I've done, and that my punishment sentence isn't too bad. Thank you to the fans and viewers who have been with me on this journey, and I hope you're proud of both of me, David the player and the killer. Thank you for listening to this man's rambling for all this time. I will see you on the other side. XOXO.
Something
there's someone out there watching everyone. Light the lights, turn off the lights. I'm sure there's something out there trying to have some fun. I know there's someone out there, know there's someone